All right. Welcome, everyone. We're here to talk about building a smarter SLED event strategy for the second half of 2026. Clearly, as you look at this year, it's flown by, but we want to make sure that you have a super effective second half to the year and uncover where you can have those most meaningful relationships and uncover real opportunities in this market and deal with this market landscape that's accelerating quite quickly. Joining me today is Phil Bertolini. The two of us are going to look at the second half of the year and talk about what we have in our events portfolio for the remainder of the year. We want to talk about what events remain critical. We want to talk about how you can deploy this right sponsorship strategy and which second half opportunities in our events portfolio will drive the biggest opportunity for you in terms of visibility and engagement. We also want to walk you through our sponsorship levels and the sponsorship improvements to our experience and how you can leverage our events participation to drive near-term pipeline and long-term market credibility. So as we look at this, Phil, across the landscape, in fact, I was just reading something someone posted on LinkedIn, unrelated to us at e.Republic, but they said they were talking to GovTech founders recently, and I want to say they said about nearly half, 46% of the GovTech founders that they were talking to found that the most successful way that they drive pipeline was events. So I think it's pretty timely given our conversation here, but the second half of the window is pretty timely in terms of how we build relationships. We know we're heading into an election cycle this year, so you really want to be intentional in terms of how you stand out in the second half of the year and how you build those conversations, because it's not just about attending more events, it's about having the impact. And if you've looked at the market this year, you've seen shifts in the overall CIO priorities. Our leaders are under more pressure now to modernize while they're managing their budgets. In fact, I was just at an event of ours yesterday, and that was the exact conversation. A little bit of budget uncertainty. Demands are increasing in terms of AI, in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of digital services. All of those mainstay priorities are there, but there's a lot more focus on not only government efficiency, but government effectiveness. Some things stay true, and they've stayed true the entire time, but they want you as an industry partner to really understand their priorities. They don't want you to lead with generic pitches. They don't want to jump right into a POC. They want trust. They want relevance. They want credibility. They want dependability, and that matters a ton, maybe more now than ever. And as you all know, buying decisions in the public sector, they weren't just made by Phil. They weren't just made by one individual. They were made by a community of stakeholders: IT, security, finance, procurement. And you're seeing that broad representation across even our event speakers, because that's the reality of today, is that these are decisions made by teams. And these in-person events in today's climate, in today's environment, are helping you understand what to prioritize, when to prioritize it, and how to get in front of those formal procurements. So, Phil, when we look at these trends and these priorities, you're on a plate almost any given day. What are you hearing from CIOs and public sector leaders right now?
Joe, everything you just said just hits so straight on, because they're all talking about what's next. What do I do? And many still have their legacy tech. I mean, they're still trying to figure out, what do I do with some of my mainframe technologies? I mean, they're still out there. And when you look at the trends today, and everybody thinks generative AI came along and AI was all of a sudden born, but it really wasn't. I mean, AI has been used as a tool for quite some time. But the question is, how do I bake it into everything that I do? How do I use it as a tool to augment my inability to find more people to do work, which is hard? Government cannot find people. So there's this resource restriction that they have that they need to fix. And to do that, they need technologies to be able to handle the work. And so they're very conscientiously having the conversations. How do I put guardrails around AI? How do I be responsible, ethical, all the pieces that they need to think about to use those technologies? The other thing, Joe, is they're having different conversations today. I mean, I just came from an event as well where the conversations and the private sector partners that were at the event came up and said, I have not had conversations in this state like this in a long time. So CIOs and technology leaders and those that are out there trying to find solutions are leaning on their partners to do that. And it's very interesting to see them very methodically go through a vendor area or methodically find certain people to talk to make sure they're getting the information they need to take back. Sponsors play an important role in what we do with events, and they're really partners for government and higher education. They're out there to make sure that things get done and that they bring the right thought leadership to the table. So, Joe, those conversations are happening right now, and they're going to speed up even more as we see this technology landscape exponentially go even faster.
Yeah, I'm glad you used the word partner there, Phil, because we kicked off the year, a big market forecast. We talked about one of the biggest shifts that we were going to see was a line drawn in the sand between vendor and partner. And in your mind, what contributes to that difference between being a vendor and a partner, and what makes you credible as an industry partner in conversations with your buyers?
I'm going to throw one more word in there, Joe. Ready? It's evangelist. And the reason I say that is, it's one thing to come with a shiny thing. It's one thing to find and come and say, I have this new thing that's going to do great things for you. But it's another to come to the table and say, I know what your problems are. I want to get in there and help you talk about them. And if I have the shiny thing that helps you, that's great. But if not, at least I get you down the road to being successful. So the partnership is all about solving problems. It's all about building relationships. And we see it every day at our events that when you come out there and you get to meet people and talk to them and shake hands and say, okay, what are you working on? What can I help you with? Or I know what you're working on. Here's what I can do to help you with. And there's just so much of that happening. Just a vendor, they're just selling stuff, right? I mean, it's just about a transaction to get things in to do and to buy software or buy hardware, whatever it may, or services, whatever it may be. A true partner comes in and helps them solve problems for the long run. But there's one other thing, Joe, that I think is very important about the word partnership, and it's also finding out how I can sustain it longer. It's one thing to bring me something that helps me now, but how can you help me to sustain that for the next 5, 6 years? That's a big discussion that needs to happen.
And I love that strategic thinking. I think that's why outside of being at our events, one of the things that we really enjoy is the opportunity to do strategy calls with our industry partners. And when we're on those calls, it's kind of what we talk about is they come in, they look at our events portfolio, right? We're in 48 states. We got a lot of events, and all the events have different purposes in it. So maybe you could walk us through that, the different events and the different value that's created at each one, and how should an industry partner or a sponsor choose events? I mean, we look at audience, we look at where they were trying to make an impact, we look at their target markets, we look at their desired outcomes to come at that. But when you're looking at things like a digital government summit versus an IT leadership forum, or maybe one of our summits, or a topical event, how would you educate those that are on today's webinar in terms of looking at those different types of events that we have?
Great question, Joe, because they are different and they have different audiences that are there that really do make the ability to build the relationship even more valuable to our partners out there. When you think about digital government summits, that's really everything technology. And it can be any topic from AI to cyber to whatever it may be is going to be part of that event. You could even have some workforce issues get talked about where it's, do I have the right resources? AI is always talked about now, and so is cyber. So DGSs are very important if you're a technology vendor or partner that can come in and help them with a technology need, and someone that can come in and help lead them down the path to doing really great stuff and thought leadership around technology. The DGS is perfect for you. The IT Leadership Forum is a much different event. It's all people related. Now, there's still technology people, but they're learning how to be great leaders. And so you'll have the leadership that will show up, and you'll have that next round that's going to be leaders. How important, Joe, is that now in a country where we have 36 gubernatorial elections happening this year, to be able to know not only the leadership that's there, but the next round that's going to be there after some of the administrations change out. So that's more about people, and it's more of an invite only. It's a smaller event, but it gives you great visibility amongst what's happening in those events. Now we have our cybersecurity events. Now we started with one a few years ago, and now we have 21 cybersecurity events across the nation. We have a big one coming up next week in Orlando at the ISAC annual cyber event. So that's a big one. But we have a lot of cyber events like Michigan Cyber that's coming up, in the fall, and the fall is loaded with cyber events. There's a bunch there, just like our DGSs. And, Joe, I'd be remiss not to say, too, we have really big DGSs coming up like Ohio and Connecticut, Georgia. We have COVIDs, which is our big 2-day event in Virginia. So there's a lot of those type offerings on the DGS side. And then the cyber would be Michigan Cyber and California Cyber. One other thing to mention too is we have one of the biggest technology events coming up in California that we've ever had, and it's the Government Technology Summit in California. It's going to be in August, and that's pure technology. So the difference between the two, the DGS is technology related, and the ITL is leadership or people related. Someone will ask me, yeah, but you have two of those, and one of each in states. Why do I need to be at both? Well, guess what? You're not only building the relationship with the technology people and talking about technology questions, but you're also building relationships on the leadership front at the IT leadership forums, and you're making much more headway on the people side in that event than you are at the DGS. And then, of course, cyber. If you have cyber questions, it's going to be CISOs, it's going to be cybersecurity folks all over the state that are going to be there. So that's exciting. But there's a couple other types of events we have. We have emerging tech AI events, and we all know what that's about, right? I mean, you have consultants and companies that are coming in to try to help people figure out that AI strategy. So that's if you're doing that, you want to be there. We have data events now, which you have several of those, and they're very successful because we also know that data is the underpinning of AI. So there's a lot going on there. And then we have our higher ed events we have a number of university size events, but we also have smaller higher ed leadership events as well. So there's a lot going on, but all depending on what market you're really looking for and what unique thing you want to do, there's an event for that. But then there's also multiple opportunities in the same state, if not the region, like a Chicago, Houston, Orlando. You can also get in there and get to meet people. And remember, you don't build a relationship one time, you build a relationship over time. And our events provide that opportunity.
And I love that. And I love how you answer the opportunities where we have multiple events maybe in the same state. And I think that's so timely and valuable because it's exactly based on those outcomes, particularly when you look at a transitional year, right? That ability to deepen those relationships, show the connection that you have to that jurisdiction, both to build it at the top end, maybe at the leadership forum, but down in with the IT leadership as well at a digital government summit. And I think as you looked at some of those other the emerging tech, I think that's the market we're in. Everyone's looking to figure out what's next, what's coming, what's around the corner, and the events here are built to just do that. You also alluded to, the part why we're all here, the second half of the year.
Yes.
I mean, this second half of the year is going to be a big year, right? You mentioned the 36 states. That's not just, potential risk for a gubernatorial, transition, but CIO transition. We're already starting to see IT leadership transition. So there's a strong opportunity here to not only just double down on the relationships that you have and deepen them, but to build new relationships and new connections. And we could have industry sponsors that are looking to build more visibility or take advantage of a new opportunity with that change in their target accounts. When you look at the second half of the year, Phil, not only just how do I make the most of it, but you have industry partners that'll be on the call today looking to figure out their 2027 planning. I mean, any markets, any events stand out that you think are going to be especially important in the second half of this year?
You bet, Joe. And I mentioned a couple of them earlier, the California Government Technology Summit. California, one of the largest markets in the world. And we're going to have their technology summit in August in Sacramento. And that's a big one. We had the California CIO Leadership Academy, and that's for leadership. This is for technology, and that's what's going to happen. COVID's is one of the other ones I can think of. In Virginia, the 2-day event where we just go ahead and really talk about everything under the sun that's happening in the technology world in Virginia. Massachusetts DGS is another big one. We had the entire eastern seaboard, and you have the northeast. They have some pretty incredible events like Connecticut and others. Ohio Digital Government Summit's another big one in the Midwest that I think people should focus on. But then when I think later in the year too, Joe, I think New York City Technology Forum. I mean, that's one of the biggest events that we do in the nation. And then New York City comes out in droves to make sure they can get the answers they need. Michigan Cyber, I mentioned. Washington Digital Government Summit's another big one. Illinois Digital Government Summit. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't say Pennsylvania Digital Government Summit. That's something we just need to keep our eye on. Pennsylvania is really doing some unique technologies up there with their CIO. that I believe was just appointed last year. So there's a lot going on in that state. But what I would like to mention about the second half is it's your time to help them plan. So not only are they working on things today, they're still in constant planning modes. And each type of government, state, county, city, they all have different fiscal years. So we understand they may change what they're doing and when they're doing it. But this second half, for many of them, they're trying to crunch through what they need to get done for this year and then plan for the big initiatives that they're going to have in 2027. So this second half of the year events slate is a great opportunity to get in there and have those discussions.
And Phil, I love that. And what I want to say, though, is you hear the same thing I hear. I'm in California as a state. It's a state that's got gubernatorial transition coming up. And undoubtedly, someone's going to hop on the phone and go, I'll wait. I'll wait till the new administration's there. I'll wait till the dust settles. What do you say to that?
Don't wait. I mean, no, big no, because if you wait, you're going to miss the opportunity. Remember, these events are not just the CIO that's going to be there. It's also the people that are in there in the agencies and departments of local government that are making it happen. They're not going anywhere. So when you go ahead and get in there and have those discussions, so don't think they're not thinking about what's next for them, but the opportunities are still there and they're going to push them forward now. You have CIOs that may be gone by the beginning of next year, but they're still pushing through to the end to get everything done they can get done. And then that new and preparing and being part of the discussions that prepares for 2027 gets you in on the ground floor. It's a great opportunity.
Well, there's a lot of change this year, a lot of change in priorities, a lot of change in administrations, but that's not the only thing that's changed. What I love about our team is we're constantly grounding ourselves in what we're hearing from our industry partners and our sponsors. And our sponsorship levels have also been kind of refreshed to align with everyone's business goals. So, Phil, why don't you walk us through some of the changes to the sponsorship levels?
You bet. We have our anchor sponsors and our exhibitors, which we've always had, and we have our Patron Plus sponsors, but we've added some new levels to what we have available. We have diamond sponsors now where you can get into an event. And if you want to be the lead discussion person, if you want to get up in front of everybody and have an incredible discussion at an event, the diamond level is for you. It includes a major speaking opportunity, premium positioning opportunities were available. So diamond is the big one now that we have at our events. We also have platinum ones where you can, get in and do some interactive type discussions and interactive sessions, which is exciting. And that opportunity helps get you into that conversation to even be deeper. So the platinum level is something that are really, they're starting to go, Joe. And what's happening is you think about it, I now have an opportunity to get in front of everybody, but I also have the opportunity to be the thought leader. So the diamond and platinum are really exciting. The anchors, we're doing some new things with anchors, Joe, which is exciting. We're working with them a little differently on making sure we get the right sessions for them in the events coming up. So we have a new process that we put in place that has been very well received, and anchors are getting that value that they so desperately seek. And then the other thing is we have these mid-tier sponsorships. So we're doing networking breaks. We can have a parking sponsor, right? We can have a popcorn cart. I mean, I just throw the things out there. Wi-Fi. And what's happening, and these are becoming really fun sponsorships, like we've always had our bags and our notebooks and some other things, but these other sponsorships are kind of fun because people are going in and we're doing these recharge breaks where there's a higher end networking break, and then the people are standing by the networking breaks talking to people. Hey, we had an espresso cart at one of our events, Joe, and there was a line, and the people were having a great time talking to each other. So, it all depends on what you want to accomplish at the event for the level of sponsorship you should do. And what our team can do is say, okay, what are you trying to accomplish? And then we can say, these are the kinds of sponsorship levels, or these are the kinds of opportunities that can help you get you to your goal.
I love that. I love the new creative ideas and the espresso cart and the impact that we're already seeing on many of these new levels. The thing that I often hear is, how do I decide which level is right for me? Right? If I'm looking at 15 states, how do you, what advice would you give to an industry partner there?
Yeah, this is a discussion we need to have together in many ways. You need to let us know what states are you most interested in? What states are you already in that you want to keep your relationship strong? What states or regions, because we have a number of regional events as well, that you want to be in to grow your presence there. And that will depend on what kind of sponsorship you have. In many ways, these higher end diamond and platinum, some of the sponsors are using that as their lever to make sure everybody knows what they're capable of and understands what thought leadership they can bring to the table. So they're great for states that you're really trying to charge into to try to know more or be more. And then, obviously speaking opportunities that go with this, Joe. I can't tell you, 20 years as the CIO of Oakland County, I used to take a lot of notes and I used to bring a lot of information back to my teams. And many of it was who spoke on what and who do we need to reach out to get the right information. So all depending on where you're trying to be, we can help strategize with you and say, this is the right sponsorship for you.
Well, I love that. And if you're on the webcast today and you have questions about any of the sponsorship levels, or you just want to go deep on that event strategy, feel free to engage with us and drop us a note, and Phil and I will reach back out and we'll happy to hop on the phone with you. But today we talked about market timing, we talked about event strategy, and we talked about how you can make the most of the second half of the year. I hope you found value in today's webcast. And on behalf of Phil and I, we just want to thank you very much for attending.
And I hope to see you out on the on the event trail soon.